So good evening. I'm finally now getting to this to make the video about the service manuals and the service bulletins I found on this particular website. This website here is called charm.li, L-I, CHARM.li. I will put a link in the description of the video to this website. The authors of this website are saying they don't know for how long this website is going to be up. At the moment we are making this video, it is May 5th of 2025. So in a few years from now, you may trying to go to this link and you're happy that you found something and this link may no longer work. That is the reason for this. Now, for the viewers who are seeing this today, you can click on any of these models or makers. You got a pretty good list here. I do not know how complete or how accurate any of this is, because what we want to look at primarily is the W126 and the related valve guide issues on the cylinder head valves, which have problems. And if my computer goes along with me, we can see, which it does at the moment at least, we can see we're starting from 1982 to 2013. This is the time span this covers, and we want to go to 1989 because this is where my model is. Now we can see we have a 560 SEL here, which is the 126.039 with the 117.968 engine. That is the one I have. And now we can go repair diagnosis, parts and labor, download zip file for offline use, download zip file with better file names, Mac and Linux only. Now I downloaded this. It is like a 200 to 300 megabyte zip file. But with these long file names, what they're using, this may not work correctly in a browser going through these files when they're saved on the computer. You can find this out yourself by downloading this. I'm going to go to repair and diagnosis, and let's see what this is going to be here. And here we have now all of these things listed. We're going to engine, and now we're going to go down here. We're going to go to cylinder head assembly. And then you have valve clearing, cylinder head bolts, and then all of the stuff is listed. And down here with the pin is called the technical service bulletins. And I will click on here. They have valve guides, special tools for checking and replacement. And it will show you these here. And this is the service bulletin I was referring to. This is service bulletin MBNA 05/4 from October 1990. And it reads here, and in case you cannot read it, all engines, valve guide exchange, all engines. It has recently come to our attention that there are frequent valve guide exchanges and sometimes comebacks due to improper work procedures. Prior to removal and exchange, ensure that the valve guide is the problem-causing part. See Service Bulletin or Service Information MBNA 05/3A. I was not able to find this, or 18/7A, April 1989, so about a year and a half earlier. I was not able to find either one of these two service bulletins. The correct special tools, bore gauge for valve guide measuring as well as for removal, must be used to avoid damage to the cylinder head, which can result in oil seepage between the valve guide and cylinder head. That is exactly what I have on my car on cylinder 5 and 7 on the left bank. Refer to service microfiche job number 05-285 for specifications and procedures. For the procedures on engine 103, please refer to engine 102. Pay a particular attention to the lower edge of the valve guide before pressing into the cylinder head, rough edges, etc. So this here explains exactly that, what we had shown you about a year and a half ago on my channel here, when Clay and we were working on my car, changing the valve seals out, and we found out that we had, I wouldn't really call them loose valve guides, but loose enough that when you depress the spring that with the tool, because there's quite some compression associated with this force, that the valve guide actually will move back down. You can pull then the whole thing back up, when you put the lock back in to hold the spring in place, the valve spring. You can just pull this whole thing then up with a pair of pliers. Then the valve will come up with the valve guide. The displacement we experienced was probably about 1/8 of an inch, 3/16 of an inch, which is probably, I would say, 0.3 millimeters to 0.6 millimeters. That's how far the valve guide moved, and this is what's causing now more problems. And that is at the moment only on the left head cylinder. And like I pointed out in that video 1.5 years ago, that someone had replaced or worked on this particular head, and they had transferred over the camshaft onto that reworked head I have in there. I do not know who did that work or when it was done. I would think probably around 200,000, 225,000 miles. They must have worked on it, and this what they're describing here with the problem with these sharp edges. Then that is basically what we have on my vehicle. So I have to see how am I going to get this fixed, meaning I have to take this off. They're writing in here these particular tools you will need in order to actually correctly install the valve guides, assuming that the cylinder head, the way I understand this at the moment, is not damaged. So I just wanted to show you this here on how this actually works. I can show you when you go here. I have the same page already open. Say we go to the 560 to the 107.048 with the 117967 engine, and see if we're gonna get the same information here, which I probably will think that we do. We go to engine cooling and exhaust, engine, cylinder head assembly here, and then we look at the service bulletins and see, and should probably put, exactly the same. And here we got the same references what I just showed you. So they added this to all these cars which have these engines. I haven't checked on how far back, but you can check this for your particular model, year and make, year and model, what you have, and then see if you have service bulletins in here. That was the video. I thought that this was important, and it verified what I had suspected a year and a half ago, that there was a problem and someone had worked on the cylinder head and they did not install correctly the new exhaust valve guides. These are both exhaust valves in question on cylinder 5 and 7, and that is exactly what we have here, is that process that this oil is going by, and it goes in there. They call it, which can result in oil seepage between the valve guide and cylinder head. And this is part of it, of why my catalytic converter started to clog up as bad as it did, because that seepage has increased now between a year and a half ago until December. It had just increased. And like I said before in my videos, before that I was using approximately 1 liter of oil per 1,000 miles. And that is, when you convert it to 1,000 kilometers, roughly about a half a liter, maybe 0.7 liters of oil, which is not much with an engine of that mileage I got, and the age and everything else, and the size of the engine. Now I'm currently at about 1.2 liters of oil. So I have increased the oil consumption per 1,000 miles by 0.2 liter or 200 milliliters, which is not the world either. The manuals will tell you that anything below 1.6 liters per 1,000 miles or 0.8 liters per pretty much a liter per 1,000 kilometers, somewhere around there, is acceptable. Below that, over that, you have to start tearing into the engine. You will have to look at piston rings, sleeves, and this issue here as well. I wanted to show you this in the video. The link to this is going to be down here. On my car is running fine now. Just to mention this, is I've driven now about 800 or 1,000 miles since Scott put in the new muffler system, and everything is running fine. I have to still repair my air conditioning system, and it did bleed out over the winter. I had very little pressure left in it, and the fellow last year who made the comment from the Middle East that I should have also changed the front seal, he was probably correct. And the front seal is probably now gone on the compressor as well, besides of the clutch coil, which I have two of them to replace. But because of the possibility of that front seal being leaky and the tools required, I'm going to put a new compressor in there. This way I have a extra working compressor in looking at the compression and vacuum creation, but which needs a new front seal, and I have the clutch stuff and the clutch coil. I still need to change the bearings on my air pump and the clutch on that unit, and then one window regulator left rear door, that plastic guide which runs in that track, broke, and I have to put a new one on there. That's about all I got in an oil change. Other than that, everything is fine here on this end, and I wish everyone a good evening.